Hey guys, welcome back to another Chess Forward video. Today we're going to learn about the Sicilian defense, mainly how to counter it as we expand our e4 repertoire. Please subscribe and like this video. 2 more subscribers and we can reach 10 subscribers. When we reach 10 subscribers, I'm going to post an amazing surprise YouTube video that almost no one has done before. So please subscribe. Without further ado, let's start the video. We obviously start with e4, and black plays the second most popular move c4, c5. This is now the Sicilian defense. Here white has 2 moves. He can play knight c3 or knight f3. So knight c3 or knight f3. I like to play the move knight c3 because out of these two, because if we play knight f3, then black has a lot of options. He can play g6 and transform this into the dragon or maybe he can play the knight orb, and there are just a lot of lines. So that's why I like to play with knight c3. Here black has 3 main moves. He can play d6, knight c6, or e6. Let's look at d6 lines first. After d6, the very forcing line that I prepared, you can probably guess it, is d4. Let's follow the main moves. Perfect. C takes d4, queen takes d4, knight c6. And here, instead of bishop b5, we play the odd looking but good queen d3. You can play queen d1, but I like to play queen d3 because we can, if we want, we can have the option of castling queenside, or we can castle kingside, which is what we're normally going to do. So that's why we like to play queen d3. Here, our plan is very straightforward. We like to play knight f3, bishop e2, castle kingside, and that's usually what we're gonna do, unless he does something very forced. So let's look at some examples of this. Let's say he plays g6. After g6, we play bishop e2, bishop g7, as you can guess, knight f3, knight f6, castles, and castles. And here, as you can see with the arrows, we have a lot of plans. First, we play bishop e3 and center the rooks. After that, we'll have a very nice middle game. Now, this is a very nice middle game with a very clear plan. We like to play knight d5, trade the knights. And we can also play queen d2, trade the bishops. And after that, the position depends on what he does. We can play something like c6 or other ideas, as you will see if you play these lines. So yeah, that's what we do if he plays g6. Very simple thing. Let's look at another line, knight f6. After knight f6, we can play knight f3, and he could play g6, as you can see, but that would transpose into a line that we already looked at. So let's say he plays e6. Here instead of playing bishop e2, we could play bishop f4, bishop e2, and castle queenside. Now, castling queenside is probably the best idea, but if you don't like it, you can always go with the simple bishop e2 and castle kingside. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, that's what happens that's what happens after queen d3. But let's say you're still not convinced that queen d3 is good. You think maybe the queen is unsafe. Well, let's see what could happen after knight b4. Maybe. Here, we play queen b5 and make their knight retreat. Then we play bishop b2. He can't really do anything. He kicks our queen away. We play queen d3. Now if he plays knight b5 after, let's say, queen d3, if he plays knight b5 here, then he wasted a lot of moves. We just move our queen back, play a3, knight here, and castles. It will probably be up a tempo with a very nice position. So instead of repeating, let's say he plays g6, we simply continue with our plan. And we already saw what would happen. He plays something like bishop g7, knight f6, and here we can play castle, bishop b3, connect the rooks, play knight d5, c4, and all those ideas. So yeah, that's the d6 line. Let's go all the way back to this position, and let's look at the knight c6 line. Here we are at the knight c6 line, and yeah, let's just continue. e4, e5, knight c3, knight c6. Here a lot of people, as you can see, like to play f4 or knight f3, but we like to play the third most popular line, g6. And you'll see why. Here black has two different moves. He can play g6 or d6. Let's look at d6 first. d6, we simply fianchetto, and he's going to transform into g6 anyway. e3, e6, knight g2, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight g7, d4. Now here you don't have to play d4, you can obviously play queen d2 or f4, and as you can see, I'm going really fast because all these moves are really easy to play. You don't have to calculate much. So that's why I like these lines. Here you can play d4 or f4 like I said. So let's see what happens if we play d4. d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4. And yeah, in the knight c6 lines, the break you really want is d4. If you don't play d4, then your position is most likely going to be bad. Unless, though, you play f4. These are the two breaks that you really need to play in this position, or else you're going to lose. I urge you to play d4, but f4 is fine as well. So yeah, that's what happens if you play d6. Sorry, I'm going a little fast, but let's see what happens if you play g6. This is also very easy. We like to play d3, bishop e7, bishop e2. The move order doesn't really matter. d6, bishop e3, knight f6, knight g2, castles. Here, maybe you can play knight g4, so maybe you want to play h3. But if he plays knight g4 and you haven't played h3, it's just fine to move back and then kick the knight away. And this is a common mistake most beginners make. Instead of putting the bishop on d2 and queen c1, I like you, even if it wastes a move, to place it on e3 and queen d2. Sometimes it's just a tiny bit better. Like, let's say he doesn't take, and your bishop's on queen d2. I mean, your bishop is on d2 and your queen's on c1. And if the bishop goes to h6, you can just leave it there and your queen is very awkwardly placed. And it might stop you with doing some things. So that's why I like you to play bishop e3 and queen. Anyway, bishop d7, castles, e5, and f4. As you can see, he played e5, so we can't play d5 anymore. We like to play the break f4. So yeah, that's basically the knight 6 lines, quicker than you expected, right? But yeah, let's move on to the final line, E6 lines. Here we are at the E6 lines. 345, knight to E6. What do you do now? This position will likely transpose into maybe the knight C6 line, but let's just look at it anyway. Knight F3 is what we played this time. You can play G3 if you want, it really doesn't matter. When he plays E6, you can play basically any move you want, but I like to play Knight F3 first, because sometimes D4 early is a really good idea. Knight C6, probably Bishop E2, and here Black is known to play two main moves, basically. Knight F6 and D5. Plays D5, then we play E takes D5, E takes D5, and D4. Basically, whenever he plays D5, you like to play takes, he takes back, and D4. Even if he plays it later on. So yeah, let's say he plays Knight F6. Now it's simple. Castles, see he plays D5. He kind of has to do that. If he plays something like D6, then we play D4 still. Well, not now, maybe later on, but we play D4. So yeah, let's say he plays D5 immediately. E takes D5, E takes D5, D4, as you can see. And this is very good for white. And that's basically it. Very short and very easy. Now, I obviously haven't covered all the lines, but I showed you the ideas on what you do. And the ideas are very simple, even though these lines are very complex. All you have to do is remember the idea, which there's 2 or 3, and they're basically set. So yeah, that's it. You can face the Sicilian now. You don't have to be scared. So next time we're probably gonna cover how to play against the French. A lot of beginners are starting to like the French now. It's very solid. And yeah, so I'll tell you how to deal with the French. Until then, see you.